Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the U.S. Center for Citizen Diplomacy, I want to welcome you to our rollout for the Global Initiative and introduce you to the Chairman of the Board of the Center, David Rowe.
Thank you, Tom. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this call to action. And I've had the privilege of meeting about 40 or 50 of you, and each of you that I've met and read about bring special circles, special interest here this evening to this thing known as citizen diplomacy. And I'm humbled by the people it's my privilege to work with on the board as board members and as advisory council members. Many of them you'll get the privilege of hearing from later tonight. The sad thing is their stories, each one of them has an hour or 2 hour story that would just enthrall you, but we're not here to do a lot of that. What we're here to is to enlist you, quite frankly. Let me give the commercial up front. If you haven't read the literature, the call to action, please do so. If you've read our draft letter to President Obama and agree with it, you have a chance to sign it out in the foyer. If you want to think about it, which we understand, you can take it with you, read it, and on Monday on the U.S. Center website, you can go to the website and put your signature on, and we can add your signature to that of the 200-plus Americans who have already signed on, urging the President to bring his special leadership to this call to action, which is aimed at significantly increasing the role of regular, everyday U.S. citizens in citizen diplomacy, whether it's educational exchanges, sister cities, visitors, going abroad, welcoming people from other countries in our home, in our communities. There's just a myriad of activities that relate to this. And this is a time in history when our goal in the near term is to increase this by fourfold. Now, the U.S. Center has the privilege of being a catalyst for this, but this isn't just the U.S. Center. The U.S. Center was aided by the Johnson Foundation recently, who helped host a retreat in Wingspread in Wisconsin. And at that retreat, 40 distinguished Americans from across the spectrum involved in diplomacy gathered together, and this initiative came from that. And then as these 40 individuals returned to their networks, the signatories grew because people said, the time is right, the time is now. The President has already served notice that he believes in this kind of thing. So what better way to call on him to lead it? We've not had a national summit since the Eisenhower administration. We've had a number of presidents who have done various forms of initiative on citizen diplomacy. John Kennedy comes to my mind. It was my privilege to march in the Kennedy inauguration. Unfortunately, I wasn't here for the Obama inauguration, but for excitement in this town, that blew every other inauguration away I've ever seen. Well, we have two themes in the world that have to unite citizens of the globe. If there's any doubt about the interdependence of economies, hopefully that disappeared in what's going on now. If there's any doubt about our need as a world citizenry to cooperate in working the climate issue so that our grandchildren have this spaceship Earth to live and grow on, there can't be any question. And it's only going to happen in citizen-to-citizen interaction. Let me shut up. I'm passionate, and I don't have the floor very long. I'm just supposed to introduce the stars. Before I introduce the stars, however, we have a star in absentia, and it's a really special privilege. One of our speakers later tonight brought with him from his country, Egypt, a letter composed by Her Excellency, the First Lady of Egypt, Suzanne Mubarak. Let me give you his background and then read it, and then we'll get on with your announced program. I'm truly honored to introduce the words of a distinguished international leader and proponent of citizen diplomacy, Her Excellency Madam Suzanne Mubarak, First Lady of Egypt. As the First Lady of Egypt, Mrs. Mubarak has championed the causes of dialogue, peace, and international diplomacy. Mrs. Mubarak is also distinguished as the founder and president of the Suzanne Mubarak Women's International Peace Movement, an organization at the forefront of education, healthcare, and peace initiatives in the region. The U.S. Center is deeply appreciative of Her Excellency's work and endorsement of this initiative. So, Ambassador, thank you very much for bringing this. From First Lady Suzanne Mubarak. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, from Cairo. I must thank you for inviting me to join the launch of the Initiative on Global Citizen Diplomacy and to share my views as, above all, a citizen of Egypt. I admire the goals of the U.S. Center Diplomacy and congratulate the founders of this timely initiative. It is especially significant that this sincere appeal for greater citizen involvement in America's foreign relations comes from the very heartland of that great nation. The entire world watched when President Obama took his oath of office last month, including many of us here in Egypt. If ever there was a time to reach out and find welcoming hands, it is now. Just as President Obama has sounded the note of greater responsibility and called for more active diplomacy, the U.S. Center for Citizen Diplomacy has provided the means for individuals to get involved, to help open new windows of communication worldwide. Every successful friendship and enterprise, every institution and nation is based on dialogue between people working together towards common goals. Here in the Middle East, we know very well the life-saving value of dialogue. We have seen how it can bring peace among neighbors and how its absence can lead to war. It is said these days that thanks to digital technology, we are very interconnected. Yet it seems we still understand one another too little, especially the difficulties facing the underprivileged and the victims of war. We are connected not only because of the internet, but because we all face the same challenges: to care for our loved ones, to be at peace, and to protect our earth. The humanitarian tragedies in Gaza, Darfur, and other places should never be allowed to happen. And it is only by acting together as citizens of the world that we can bring them to an end. We are connected because so long as the innocent suffer pain and hunger, our own happiness and well-being cannot be complete. Global problems require global solutions that even governments and international organizations cannot implement on their own. But great goals can be accomplished by people worldwide joining hands. It is our responsibility to our families, communities, and countries to step up to the plate, as they say, and make a difference, one precious handshake at a time. I urge everyone to lend their support to the Initiative on Global Citizen Diplomacy in its call for a more globally conscious America. But it is a time for all citizens of the world to become more conscious of each other's needs for peace and justice. I'm quite sure I speak for my fellow Egyptians in saying that we share your vision of a kinder, more caring, and more responsible world. Thank you for listening, and I wish you a very fruitful conference.